This is not a good time in your marriage. The happy times when you got along and enjoyed each other's company are hard to remember. You and your spouse are fighting more and just don't seem to be connecting. You each want different things in life. It seems like you're on two different paths. You're considering a divorce, but you don't know if you should tell them. How are they going to react? Will it make the situation worse? In this episode, we'll discuss the pros and cons of talking to your spouse about divorce. First and foremost, if you're in an abusive relationship, either emotionally or physically, your safety should be your top priority. It may not be safe for you to tell your spouse that you're considering a divorce, especially if you're worried about their reaction. In this case, it may be best to seek the help of a family therapist, support group, or family members who can help make a safety plan. Next, take a look at your relationship. Why are you considering divorce? Is there something specific that's going on? Maybe something that your spouse is doing which is causing you to want to leave. Perhaps they don't even know that their behavior is annoying you. Can that behavior be changed? If so, it may help to talk to them to see if something can be done. Marriage counseling could help in such a situation. Sometimes people can surprise you. Change is possible, and it might be worth trying. Or is the problem more general, just an overall feeling of being unfulfilled in your relationship? Perhaps you feel you can't communicate with your spouse, or they don't appreciate you. Sometimes people just grow apart. That may be more of a sign that it's time to move on. Now, take a look at your personal situation. Are you ready to open up to your spouse about your unhappiness? Can you communicate honestly and express your feelings? If you do bring this up, you should be ready for your spouse's response. They may express their disappointment in the relationship as well. They may be angry and hurt. That's common and understandable. Sometimes it's hard to hear. The best way to do this is in a respectful manner, in a safe and uninterrupted environment, with enough time to discuss your feelings and any concerns. If you do discuss things, try to be empathetic and understanding of the other person's feelings. But I know from personal experience that's easier said than done. Before getting into the pros and cons of telling your spouse, I just want to let you know that if you go to affordlaw.org/checklist, you'll find a checklist of the 7 most important things you should be considering before filing for divorce. Not only have we made a checklist, but we also have a video mini course going over all of the topics in greater detail. The pros of telling your spouse about the divorce. It's only by being honest that you can truly address your marital situation. You have to speak openly about your feelings for your spouse to understand where you're coming from. It's an incredibly difficult conversation, but if you're going to have it, don't hold back. Now is the time to bring up everything that's bothering you. By putting things on the table, you'll both know exactly where you stand. It may be that you decide to work on your issues and try to save the marriage. At the very least, this is a time you can express yourself and begin a journey of personal growth. If you can't save the marriage, now is the time to find out. This can be the first step for closure for both you and your spouse. If the marriage really is over, it's best that you start the process of moving on quickly and as painlessly as possible. By having an honest conversation, you can start moving on with your life. You can even take this opportunity to try to make the breakup as amicable as possible. If you want out of your marriage, your spouse has a right to know. They may or may not know how unhappy you are. Maybe they feel the same way but haven't wanted to say anything. By openly discussing your feelings, you can build trust as you move forward with the difficult task of getting divorced. There are downsides to telling your spouse that you're thinking about a divorce. One of the first ones is their immediate reaction. Depending on your particular situation, this news may hit like a bombshell. It's surprising how many times when this news is broken, the spouse is shocked to hear it. It's like you two are in separate marriages. You wonder how they could not know how unhappy you are. They think, I thought things were okay. When hearing your news, don't be surprised if your spouse reacts very emotionally. Anger, resentment, and fear are oftentimes the first reactions. They may lash out at you and accuse you of all sorts of things. Try not to react immediately. If you're still hopeful that the marriage can be saved, this can be a first step towards working things out. Maybe counseling could be suggested at this point. Living together after you break the news that you want a divorce can be uncomfortable, to say the very least. You were unhappy the way things were before. Now you're adding the stress of living with the fallout of this momentous news. Sometimes this is a good time for one person to move out temporarily so you can assess the possibility of reconciling. If you have children together, that amps up the stress tremendously. Now you're not making a decision for yourself alone. What about the kids? Depending on how old they are, they might pick up on what's going on. You want to be honest with your kids, but you don't want to involve them too much in the process either. It's best to have discussions with your spouse alone and decide what the two of you are going to do. If you decide to divorce, it's better if both parents can sit down with the kids and explain what's going on. Let them know that no matter what, they will always have both parents in their lives to take care of them. They are very vulnerable at this time. Extra care should be taken to address their needs. For more information on Massachusetts divorce, see our next video.